Thank you, Doug. I'm honored to be here with all of you today, and I have to say, Doug does an absolutely fantastic job of leading business leaders for Michigan. So I'd like to give Doug a round of applause. I wish there was an opportunity to conduct another quick poll. As you heard from Doug, he injured himself, as he put it, vigorously exercising. And I would love to be able to put a poll up on, given the description that he gave of injuring himself, what you think he was doing when he injured himself. Many of you were probably going to full contact football, basketball, soccer. Probably from the description he gave, a lot of you wouldn't have gone to recumbent bike. You're most welcome, Doug. You can move slowly back to your seat. So I'm going to talk a little bit this morning about Domino's and some of the things that we have been doing as an organization over the course of the last few years. And the theme of this is failure is an option. And really what I'm going to talk about mostly this morning is risk and how we think about risk as an organization and how that has helped us to generate growth at Domino's. I guess the subheading on this would be, shall be, might be, failure is an option, so we'll just put that one down. Or how to transform a legacy company into a technology enhanced, nimble, category disrupting machine, or at least try to do that. And that is ultimately what we're trying to do as an organization, is to think about ourselves very differently than we have in the past, and to drive a very fast rate of change in this business. So in order to do that, fundamentally what's needed? And I would tell you, you have to start with an appetite for risk in your organization. And most importantly, you have to have the stomach for risk, because change does not come from going down the well-worn, proven path all of the time, right? It just doesn't work. You can't get up in the morning and say, I want to dramatically change our organization, and say, let me look around at all the models that have been proven that everyone has already done, because frankly, that means you're behind if that's what you're doing. And so if you're going to drive change, you've got to have an appetite for risk. You've got to be willing to fail as an organization, and accept that that is part of your job as a leader. And why don't people actively take more risk in their organizations? Here's the most self-evident thing you're going to hear today. Taking risks is risky, right? Sometimes it doesn't work out, right? And that's the inherent nature of it. But why is it that people, are not willing to take more risk as an organization? And now I'm going to get into a little bit of behavioral economics. And I teach two classes at Domino's. I teach one on change management, and the other is on risk. And I love teaching the class about risk. And the fundamental things that you've got to keep in mind, that if you're going to make what I believe are the right decisions, you need to come to those decisions understanding a couple of basic concepts within behavioral economics. First is omission bias, right? And this is something that is in us genetically and is taught to us from a very young age, which is fundamentally inaction, not doing something, is less blameworthy than doing something. And we all have that bias built into us, right? Genetically, don't go into that dark cave, right? There may be a really nasty animal in there, so don't go in, because not going in is not going to put you at risk. It's inherent. We learn that over tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of years of evolution, that you don't go into that dark cave where there may be a cougar. But if that wasn't already in you enough, from the moment you were born, you started hearing, look before you leap, and all sorts of sayings that talk about being cautious, right? About not being aggressive in your actions. And I will tell you personally, and there are physicians I know in this room, and I just would tell you, I think the single most damaging words ever written were the Hippocratic Oath, right? That say, first, do no harm. The Hippocratic Oath does not say, do good, go forth and heal people, right? It says, first, do no harm. First, make sure that no action that you take with your patient is going to make them worse off, right? It doesn't say if you have a treatment or a medication that on average is going to make that patient better, you should do that. It says make sure that there is no risk involved in anything that you're going to do, right? And so this is bred into us and taught to us that you should not take risks, right? At every level, in every part of your formation, from a child to when you're in school, university, you are taught about not taking risk, right? If there is an accident happening and you involve yourself in that, you go in and try to rescue somebody, you are now taking on risk. Our legal system says if you get involved in trying to rescue somebody and it fails, you've now taken on liability. If you stand there and do nothing, you've taken on no liability, right? And we are taught that, right? And we all understand that. And so we all tend to not want to take risks, right? The second is loss aversion, right? And this has been proven many, many, many times. Most importantly, it has been proven in casinos, right? The pain of losing is on average double the pleasure of winning. It's true. It's been proven many different ways, right? And so why are casinos good business? Because on average, people start to lose and they feel like I've got to make it up, right? I've got to get myself at least back to even. And they will keep going, even though the odds at the edge, at the margin are working against them, they will keep going. This is true in everything. The pain of making an investment that doesn't work in your organization is larger than the perceived pleasure of making that investment and having it work. So why is this important? Well, it's important because you need to understand as an organization, whatever you do, right, you need to understand that you come to your decision making with these biases, right? And if you're going to make rational decisions, right, you've got to be weighing them against that, against understanding that taking on these risks is probably not something that you do comfortably, and importantly, not something that your organization is going to do comfortably. So as a leader, one of the things you do, you teach a class on risk in your organization, right? And you talk to everybody about this, and you say, look, we need to be doing these things. It is okay for us as an organization to do things that don't matter. And at Domino's, we play to win. We get up in the morning and we look at the things that we're going to do and we say, what's the expected value of this, right? If we invest $1 million in this and the value creation for our organization, if it goes right, is $5 million and it's a 50-50 proposition, we'll do that all day. Most organizations won't, because nobody wants to be associated with the $1 million not working. So we are constantly doing lots of things. So what does that mean at a practical level? We're in our budget process right now, right? It's in the fall. We're about to put our budget out for next year, and we take a very different approach to budgeting as an organization. I think, I have seen this in organizations that I worked in before, that the typical budget process goes roughly like this. First, how much do we think we're going to grow next year? Right? And you kind of start there. Well, I think what's kind of reasonable is 3% or 4%. And you start there. Right? And then you start working down. Say, all right, well, if we're going to grow 3 or 4%, how much can we afford to spend as an organization? And once we've done that, and we've kind of done the things, we've given raises, and our rent has gone up, and all of the things that are going to kind of increase automatically, right? Then you look and say, all right, is there some money left, or can we create a pot of money where we try a few things? And I think that is typically the way the budget process works in most organizations. Our approach is very different, right? We look at all the different things that we could be doing, and we look at the expected value of projects, and we understand or try to estimate what the risk is, what the odds are of being successful with that endeavor, and we will place lots of bets. We do lots of different things. Some of them don't work. Some of them don't work spectacularly. But it's okay, because the odds are in our favor over time, right? We're doing things that we believe the expected value is positive to the organization, and we accept that there are some along the way that aren't going to work. And after we've done all of that, then we figure out, well, based on these things that we've done in the past, based on these new things that we're going to be doing, how fast do we think we're going to grow next year? It's a very different approach, right? It's a very different approach. So, throughout our history, this is something that has been a big part of who we are as an organization. This is not new. So if you look at early risks, frankly, founding the company in the first place was a risk. Our founder, Tom Monahan, didn't know anything about the pizza business. He was trying to pay his way through architecture school at the University of Michigan, right? And he didn't have the money, and he bought a little pizzeria in Ypsilanti to make some money so that he could afford to go to the University of Michigan. And the story some of you may have heard is, well, and then it went so well, he never went back to architecture school. The true story is, no, it was tough, and he didn't make enough money early on to go back to architecture school, and he stuck with it and made it work over time. Going all in on the delivery model, right? This was very new. Restaurants in 1960, when Tom started Domino's, bought the old pizzeria and turned it into Domino's, delivering food to customers was a very new idea. A restaurant, you went there, you sat down, you ate. This was in our DNA. Creating the 30-minute guarantee and then eliminating it after getting sued a little bit around that. And then recent risks. Went on national television and apologized for our pizza not being good, right? There was a little risk involved in that, right? Not something typically people do, go out, spend tens of millions of dollars talking about just how lousy their product is. Not your standard approach to building your brand. Hey, why not? We opened a pizza restaurant in Italy. You know, we looked at it and said, how can we be a great pizza company and not operate in Italy, right? And so went over, found a great partner, and a little over a year ago, started opening pizza restaurants in Italy. Because if you're going to be good at pizza, you certainly have to be operating in the best place. And, you know, we've revamped virtually our entire menu over time. I'm going to get this clicker to work.
You know, at Domino's, failure is an option. We know that not everything is gonna work.
In order to get better, in order to move ahead, you're gonna make mistakes.
Have you ever heard of the cookie pizza?
I don't want to talk about it.
If we gave up after every mistake, we wouldn't come up with something new like our specialty chicken. We take our boneless, white meat chicken and bake our toppings, sauces, and cheese right on top.
Order 2 of our new specialty chicken or medium 2-topping pizzas for only $5.99 each.
We cannot be afraid to fail. It sounds crazy, but it's who we are.
So what do we do there? I'm here talking about how risk internally is something that's important to our business, our brand, how we run Domino's Pizza. We've brought our consumers into that. You know, after going out and talking about how our pizza wasn't good, we've gone out and run ads talking about the fact that, yeah, we're probably going to screw up every once in a while. Come along on the journey with us, right? Tell us when we don't get it right, and we'll figure out how to correct it. You know, and that failure is an option sign. It's huge. It's still sitting in the middle of our office to encourage us to continue to do it. So other, you know, big bets, risks, you know, technology. We started with some folks, including Detroit Labs down the street, helping us with technology. You know, there was a big decision on, we're a pizza company. Are we going to take all of this inside? Are we going to build technology capabilities as an organization? You know, we now in Ann Arbor, we've got about 800 people working in our headquarters. Essentially half of those, 400 of them, are in technology and analytics, right? You come into our office, we look as much like a technology company as we do like a pizza company. And we decided, no, this is going to be a core competence for this pizza company to develop technology that's going to drive our business. You know, and then some fun ones, ordering pizza via emoji. We were the first to do it. We created Dom for voice ordering, right, 3 years ago. First commercial application of natural voice globally, right? People have been using natural voice for customer care, but not to actually take orders, not to actually drive sales in your organization. And now all of a sudden, a lot of folks are starting to look at natural voice as the way to interact with technology. We've been doing it for a number of years now. Our team got upset when Amazon rolled out one-click ordering. They said, we can beat that. We can do zero-click ordering. I'm like, okay, guys, explain that one. You open the app, and unless you turn it off, you're going to order a pizza. We have that. Been a couple of wrong orders along the way, but that's okay. And going all in on our Anywhere platform, we decided, you know what, we want to make it really simple for people to order Domino's pizza, no matter where they are, no matter what people are doing, no matter what technology they are interacting with. We want them to be able to order Domino's pizza easily.
TV is the best. Nice try, Eva. Texting is better.
Nothing's better than Twitter.
Smartwatches are the future.
Your entrees.
Hearty.
But mine orders Domino's.
So does mine.
I can order Domino's on Twitter.
So can a text. Pizza emoji sent, Domino's ordered. Smiley face.
Use your favorite device to order 2 medium 2-topping pizzas for $5.99 each.
What was fundamentally missing in that commercial? Pizza, right? We did get it right at the end, right? But, you know, we spent the vast majority of that ad talking about technology, talking about how you can access our brand and all of the different ways you can access the brand, and it drove real results for us. So now we're starting to look at new ways of delivering. So this little guy is Drew, the Domino's robotic unit. He's making some deliveries, or she is making some deliveries down in New Zealand right now, because we're looking at how transportation is going to change going forward, and we've got to figure it out. We have a lot of cars that are making a lot of deliveries. We've got to understand where we're going to play in the new world. Drones. We started looking, this one is in the UK, we started looking at delivering with drones in the UK now about 5 years ago. A couple years after that, you can go out, you can look at Domino's drones, and you'll see about 5 years ago, we were working on this actively. And a couple of years later, a little organization in Seattle called Amazon started thinking, hey, you know what? We should look at delivering with drones. A pizza company, right, is going after this before Amazon. And then we decided, hey, why not? We're in Southeast Michigan. Maybe we should build a car. Everybody else around here builds cars. Why not us? We can build a car. Now, we cheated a little bit. We went to General Motors. They gave us the platform. Roush did the build-out. But we decided, heck, if we're gonna look at transportation as being a core part of our business, and we're looking at robotic units, and we're looking at drones, then what could we do with a specially built car? And we went out and crowdsourced ideas from our consumers and from our own drivers, and launched the DXP.
It's time to imagine the unimaginable reimagined, and speed past the present into the future today. It's time for a pizza delivery car with pizza-inspired wheels. This button thing, a driver-focused interior with 35 cubic feet of pizza storage capacity. A warming oven heated up to 140 degrees Fahrenheit. And a puddle light to keep our drivers' sneaks fresh. We're taking pizza where it's never been before. Well, sort of. Introducing the 2016 Domino's DXP. That's right, a pizza company just made a pizza delivery car.
And you can kind of see our personality coming through. If we're going to launch a car, we can't take ourselves very seriously when we're doing it, right? There was no pizza in that commercial. It drove double-digit sales growth for our company when we were running a commercial talking about building a purpose-built pizza delivery vehicle, right? And there's some risk involved in that. Yeah, there's a little bit of risk involved in that. We tested it very, very well to understand whether it was going to work for us or not. And happily, it did. So, is it working overall? Here, why don't you just fill up the screen for me here. So, 7 consecutive years of positive U.S. same-store sales growth. We've opened over 1,000 stores around the world. In the past 12 months, we're the fastest growing major restaurant company, both in the U.S. And outside of the U.S. In 2009, the end of the year, you could have bought our stock for just under $5. 2 weeks ago, you could have bought it for about $155. I say 2 weeks ago because this morning you could buy it for about $171. I believe. So our shareholders has been pretty well rewarded for taking on some of the risk. Can you go to the next slide, please? And because we're doing these things, I can tell you when we first started looking at technology, we would call out to the big technology companies and say, hey, we'd really love to come and sit down with you and talk about how we could work together. And they would say politely, yes, we will at some point in the future get back to you. And today, you know, Amazon launches Echo earlier this year. They called us and said, we want the first application on the Echo with voice ordering because we know you've already been doing that to be ordering Domino's Pizza. You know, I've seen ads within the last week or two from Amazon Echo showing them, you know, how you can order Domino's Pizza when they launch it. This is a very different place for us to be in as an organization. So when their Microsoft CEO at their once a year developers conference launched bots, their IA assistants earlier this year, the first thing he showed on the stage was how you would build with their new bot platform a bot to order Domino's Pizza at their developers conference. And most importantly, for us, and you know, today I think organizations, you know, we all know that great talent is just getting harder and harder to find. Doing all of these things, taking risks, driving change in the organization, we think it has driven our ability to attract really terrific talent as an organization. So that's the story. That's kind of what we've been doing at Domino's. And I guess what I would say is you know, think like investors. Think about your business differently than you have in the past. Think about all of these little bets that you can place, all these little investments that you can place, and what you think the odds are of these things working and what the expected value is of these if they work out. And if you do enough of these things, you start to build some momentum and some energy in your organization that can be pretty extraordinary. So thank you. Great to be with you this morning.